Let's be friends.
Have you not?
And here we go.
And good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the Ambassador Wing. Hope you all are having a good Monday night. And welcome to a very special live rewind here on the A Wing. Tonight, I'm going to bring you all my thoughts on the latest installment from the MCU, Deadpool and Wolverine. And to all of you who are out there in YouTube land, I hope you all are having a great day. Hope you all enjoy the stream. As I often do with these types of streams, I have dropped the link in the chat for anybody who wants to join me for the discussion. But with all that being said, make sure you smash that like button, share this out with all your friends. And just a heads up now, this will be a spoiler review. So if you have not seen Deadpool and Wolverine and you plan on doing so and you don't want anything spoiled, go see that sucker and then come back and watch the review. But that being said, let's get into it. And yes, I will address, just a heads up now, yes, I will address the recent news of Robert Downey Jr. returning to the MCU as Dr. Doom. I will share my thoughts with you on that towards the end of the stream tonight. But for now, we're going to focus on why everybody's here and why I'm here tonight. Deadpool and the Wolverine. And for those of you that may have caught my live stream review of Deadpool 1 and Deadpool 2, you will obviously know I am a fan of this character. Granted, I am not an aficionado on Deadpool. I am more of a latecomer to the Deadpool verse, his little section of the Marvel universe, and his now addition to the MCU proper. And of course, you know him, you love him, Mr. Hugh Jackman, aka the best man that's good at things, but the thing he's good at isn't good. The Wolverine. Ever since the first teaser trailer came out about a year and a half or so ago, where you have Ryan Reynolds sitting on that couch in his home, or it's a set of his home, and he's like, "We're gonna do something very special for the next Deadpool movie. We're gonna bring you on something you all want." And then, of course, the man comes in, Mr. Hugh Jackman, and Ryan's like, "Hey, Hugh, you want to play Deadpool Wolverine one more time?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure. No problem, Ryan." Well, tonight, we're going to talk about what exactly happened in this absolutely, no pun intended, marvelously geeky, gory, profanity-filled extravaganza. This was a absolutely fantastic movie. It was a lot of fun. I got a chance to catch up with a buddy of mine from college. We had been talking about going to see this together for months now, and the day finally came this past Saturday, and I was like, "Dude, are you ready?" He's like, "I was born ready." And I will probably share this on my social media, but both he and I will share the picture of him, for confidentiality reasons, but I will share the picture. The theater we went to actually had a guy cosplaying as Deadpool, and yes, Mr. Ambassador got his picture taken with Mr. Wade Wilson, or as I called him, "Oh, Mr. Wilson." But as for the movie itself, was it any good? Yes. Was it anything? Was it everything that was advertised in all the trailers? Yes, it was. Was it gory? Yes, it was. Was it funny? Yes, it was. Did it have a lot of clever profanity? Yes, it did. Did it have some really good cameos? Absolutely, it did. And over the next hour or so, however long I go with this, and if anybody decides to join me, I'm going to share all my thoughts with you all on Deadpool and the Wolverine. Inside, outside, upside down, every which way for Sunday. Was I excited for this movie, even though my enthusiasm for the MCU has lessened over the last year and a half or so. Yes, it has. But with these two characters, you cannot help but not be excited. You cannot help but be hyped. This is a crossover. This is a pairing. This is a Anne's movie that everybody's been waiting for. Ever since Wolverine came into live action, and ever since we got that botched version of Deadpool and X-Men Origins Wolverine, and Ryan Reynolds is like, no, we can do better, and we're going to bring the people the Deadpool that they know and they love. And God love him, he did. With a lot of help. And this was a buddy comedy, but with two guys that were extremely violent, know how to string together a very interesting, profane line of words, a sentence, if you will, and know how to give the audience what they want. I have to admit, I did not stop laughing, nor did my buddy. I did not stop going, oh my gosh, he did the thing. Or he said the thing, or somebody said the thing. I had a grin on my face throughout this whole damn movie. And now, am I going to give it a fair review? Yes, I am, obviously. I'm not just going to fanboy about it, because that's, y'all know me, that's not how I roll. But I would be remiss, and I would be hampering my enthusiasm if I did not say this movie delivered on all levels. It had the action that I wanted. It had all the callbacks that I wanted. It literally had everything that I wanted. I loved this movie. Hey, Ace, good to see you, buddy. Dropping in to say hi and that the movie was awesome. Now off to bed. Good night, Ace. Good to see you, bud, and appreciate you stopping in. Get you some rest, pal. But yes, me and my buddy, we walked out of that theater and we were like, oh my gosh, that was so worth the wait. And it really was worth the wait. I know this movie they've been advertising this, they've been hyping it up for months now on end. And it was it lived up to the hype. Now, to kind of get into the meat of the movie, Mr. Wade Winston Wilson has kind of fallen on hard times. He has given up the superhero life. He is now a car salesman. He's working with Peter from Deadpool 2, if you remember Peter from Deadpool 2, the non-powered member of X-Force. And it's kind of sad because Vanessa has left him, but there's a reason why she has left him. She hasn't left him because she doesn't love him anymore, but she's left him because he's gotten knocked down. And it's been kind of hard for him to pick himself back up. So he's now a used car salesman. Well, here comes the TVA. And yes, it's right during his birthday party with Blind Al and Colossus and Negasonic and Yukio and Vanessa and Peter and the whole gang. And the comedic banter between Deadpool and Blind Al when they're talking about, we can't talk about drugs no more. We can't talk about cocaine. And she's like, we can't use this line. And he's like, no, we can't use this line. He's like, Disney knows about all the euphemisms for coke. I'm like, he's like, damn it. And there's a knock at the door, and here's the TVA troopers. And it matches right up with the trailer. He's like, this isn't the first time I've had an experience with pegging, because he thinks they're all strippers. They're all male strippers. He thinks that all the TVA agents are male strippers. And they're like, nope, we're not here to entertain you. We're here to take you to the TVA. And he gets pulled into the TVA, and he meets Mr. Paradox. Well, Mr. Paradox is part of the TVA, but he's working off the books, so to speak. And no, this isn't going to be a play-by-play of the whole dang movie. I'm just giving you all the basics. And I think I'm going to go into the movie further beyond that. And Mr. Paradox doesn't recruit him to save anything. He recruits him because he wants to save this one Deadpool. He wants to save this one particular variant of Deadpool because Logan obviously died in the movie Logan. And there's a whole scene because Wade goes on a journey to find a Logan or find a Wolverine to help him save his timeline, his specific timeline, his little piece of the multiverse. Whereas Mr. Paradox is like, no, I didn't do that just to have you do anything. He's like, I saved you just because I want you to work for the TVA. I want you to be one of our agents. And Wade's like, well, screw that. No, I want to save my timeline. I want to save my world. I want to save my people. And it's the opening is somewhat unnerving, but comical at the same time because he gets cornered in the middle. Okay. He goes to the gravesite of Logan from the end of Logan. And he digs up Logan's body thinking that he would have regenerated when in fact, no, Logan's dead. He then proceeds to use Logan's remains, his adamantium plated bones to take out the TVA agents. And there is a section where he actually takes the forearms of Logan, attaches them to his own damn arms, and starts attacking the TVA agents. I crap you not. I absolutely positively crap you not. He uses Wolverine's forearms and the claws to kill TVA agents. And at one point, he gets them stuck. He's like, this is my first time Wolverining. He's like, this Wolverining is difficult. It's hard. And he goes on a whole montage where he jumps to different universes or different timelines to try and find different things. Knocks him out, punches him out, or tells him to pretty much just F off. And it's a mess. But I don't want to spoil the whole movie for those of you who may have not seen it yet or who are planning to see it. So we'll get into some more. We'll get into the nuts and bolts of the movie. Eventually, Wade does recruit a Wolverine, but apparently he's a Wolverine that kind of massively screwed up. Everybody regards him as a crappy ass Wolverine. And they both get shoved into the void. If you remember Loki season 1 and everything, when Loki and Sylvie get sent to the void and where they come across Goliath and all the other Lokis and so on. Well, they come across there's a few cameos and everything. As I mentioned, there's a specific DC actor who played a specific DC hero who makes a cameo appearance as a variant Wolverine. That's all I'll say. If you want to know who it is, either check out online or go see the movie. But Mr. Chris Evans does make a return as not Steve Rogers, but Johnny Storm of the Fantastic Four, the Human Torch. And you've got a whole band of mutants and other characters that are working for a big bad by the name of Cassandra Nova, played by Emma Corrin. And I've never seen Emma Corrin in anything before, but she absolutely kicked ass as Cassandra Nova. Now, for those of you that might need a little brush up on your X-Men lore, that's okay. Cassandra Nova is actually the twin sister of Charles Xavier from a different timeline. She was originally introduced, I think, in Ultimate X-Men or the X-Men reboot after the first couple of movies that were done by Bryan Singer. And she essentially has all the same powers of Charles, but with some added twists and so on. And she is the big bad in the void. She can play with your head. She can play with you. She can rip your skin off your body. All sorts of nifty stuff that she can do with her mind. She can literally kill you with a thought if she wants to. Emma Corrin as Cassandra Nova, she is unhinged. She is sinister. She is, no pun intended, with the whole sinister comment. She revels in her maliciousness, in her evil, and the performance that Emma Corrin delivers was absolutely on the numbers. We have several cameos from other actors that play different parts in the Fox X-Men movies. Pyro makes an appearance. The Juggernaut, the big quotation marks Juggernaut. Ray Park as Toad, I believe, also makes an appearance, unless it was a different actor. It very well may have been. Taylor Maine makes his big return as Sabretooth from the first X-Men movie. And I will tell you all, that fight, lots of build-up. Quick conclusion. Let's just say that Mr. Sabretooth got too far ahead of himself. That's all I'll say. I'm not going to go full spoilers. I'm going to talk spoilers, but I'm not going to go full spoilers. I'm going to let y'all find out or figure out for yourself what exactly happened to Sabretooth. Eventually, Elias shows up to eat Wade or eat Deadpool Wolverine, and they somehow they escape. And you hear the music start to come in. And if you are a fan of 80s rock, you know this song very well. And it's, of course, AC/DC's iconic Hell's Bells. And Wade turns to the camera and he's like, "Hey, all you geeks, get your special sock out. It's about to get real in here." And of course, he's like, "This is the big fight y'all have been waiting for. Wolverine versus Deadpool. Who wins?" Well, in the end, it's kind of a draw, because neither one of them really win. They beat themselves up so badly that neither one of them really wins. So, but before I go any further, I got a good friend joining me this evening. You know him, you love him. If you don't, what's wrong with you, Mr. Ferris of Ferris Geeks World? Hey, Ferris, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, Ambassador. I'm doing good. How about you?
Oh, I'm fantastic. So Deadpool Wolverine. I'm assuming you got to see it.
Yeah, I did. I saw it at opening day with my sister together because we both watched the first Deadpool actually on TV,
Nice.
and we watched the second movie on theater. And this is the second time we watched Deadpool together on theater. It's been a while I haven't seen with her because we're both having families together.
Mm-hmm. I get that. Well, what did you think? Did it live up to the hype? Did it live up to your expectations? What'd you think?
I'll be honest with you. I was kind of expect a lot of things to happen during the movie, and believe it or not, throughout the whole movie, me and my sister, we had a blast watching it. We had a laugh. We understand the dialogue, the lines, the cameos, and all that thing. And what really entertains us is of course Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman, and they both really give solid performances. And I really love like the entire theme of like like saving your your own world, like even though you're really screwed up, like, and that's what Deadpool is all about. Like I know that the character was been such a slacker, and he always breaks the fourth wall, and everything was really done well in the movie. Like I love like the whole journey of him like being recruited by the TVA. He got a new suit, and he got like he has to has to find like another Wolverine to help him to save his own world. Like his world is
Mhm.
about to die, and all that, and he goes to the void along with Logan, and they all meet up the different characters that's all in the voice. Like it was all blissfully entertaining. I gotta say,
Oh
like
yeah.
when me and my sister like we watch in theaters, like I knew like there was gonna be so many Disney Fox jokes that I couldn't even
Mhm.
that we couldn't even laugh, we couldn't even stop laughing together. And even
Yeah.
like even the thing that really captivates the two of us when we watch together is like when they play like various different soundtracks throughout the movie. And I knew going into the movie when I said on the last stream that Deadpool was not joking when he wanted to ask NSYNC, and he did do that opening dance. Like, oh my god, it was so well done. And I'm not sure if that was Ryan Reynolds, like during the whole choreography thing, but if it was him, like, oh my god, I definitely salute him. Like he knows how
Hmm.
to. He really still puts his heart and soul, like, and he's still credited as a producer and as
Hmm.
like I was kind of shocked that he is also like one of the screenwriters too, because like they
Hmm.
still got the same screenwriters from Deadpool and Deadpool 2, Paul Wernick and Red Reese, and they were even both involved as executive producers. Like wow, like I'm
Hmm.
still glad that like Ryan Reynolds trusts these writers, because if you like, here's a fun fact though, like when the first Deadpool was into production,
Hmm.
like the studio didn't even want to pay the writers, and Ryan Reynolds was very generous enough to took some of his salary and pay the writers. And I gotta be honest though, like now that is like dedication.
Oh
Now
yeah.
I couldn't have
Because
much
he.
respect for Ryan Reynolds aside for being a comedic actor. That you were
Mhm.
saying?
Well, ever since he did X-Men Origins Wolverine, and he got a feel for the character, he's like, this is a character that I really identify with, and this is a character I would love to really spend time playing. And then they absolutely screwed up, obviously, as we know, everything what they did with Deadpool and X-Men Origins Wolverine. And then, this has been a whole journey for Ryan Reynolds. And you had the plugs and the winks to the camera in the first two Deadpools and everything to Hugh Jackman. Then of course, well, they got him. Now it's obviously not the Wolverine that we know from any of the main continuity or anything. It's a variant, which that's fine. It's cool and everything. But for this movie, it works. Um, Let me ask you: of all the cameos that we got in this movie, what was by far your favorite?
Before we get into the cameos, I gotta talk
Mhm.
about like the whole variant thing. Like
Oh, sure. Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, we can. Yeah,
yeah,
we can get into that. Sure.
yeah. And I'll be honest with you, like when we got into the whole before we get into cameos, like there was a lot of like variant that really happens, and I really love that whole references to a lot of the comics. And the first cameo was actually none other than the comic accurate height Wolverine. Me and my sister, we
Yeah,
laughed
I
so
did
hard, like
too.
me and
Yep.
my sister, we laughed so hard, like, oh my god. Did they really make him short? Like,
They
oh yeah,
made him comic accurate short because the actual Wolverine is about 5 foot tall. That's it.
five
So
foot three.
that was comic accurate. And yeah,
Yeah.
I laughed me and my buddy and everything. One of my buddies from college, we still get together every a couple times out of the year, and we had planned on going to see Deadpool and Wolverine. And yeah, we both were much like you and your sister. We were laughing our heads off the whole dang theater. There were times everybody was just busting out laughing. We're like, oh, they said the thing, or they did the thing, or they thinged the thing. So yeah, I totally, yeah, the whole variant sequence where he's going to try and find a Wolverine, and he meets Patch Wolverine, he meets comic actor Wolverine, he meets the one DC character, or the one DC actor who did a cameo as Wolverine. If you knew who I'm talking about, and I know that you do. So, um, the whole variant sequence, that was a laugh, right? And then every single instance except for maybe one or two, he gets hurt or he gets killed one way or another. um the other thing I will comment on in terms of the variants was at the end during the big final battle, and you have all the Deadpools. I mean, all the Deadpools. You got Lay Deadpool, who, for those of you who might be interested, was, yes, played by Ryan Reynolds' real life wife, Blake Lively. I will say I love the design for all the different variant Deadpools in the Deadpool core. Those were all really awesome and everything. I have to say my favorite, though, is old school samurai uh Deadpool with the big wicker hat and the robes and the katana and the staff and everything. I loved the design of that Deadpool. That for me was by far one of my um now, though I will admit the floating head Deadpool that's just nothing but a floating zombified head with a propeller beanie that actually works. That for me was absolutely a riot. I'm just I couldn't help but laugh. I'm like, how the hell is this thing gonna fight? It's nothing but a head. Um, some of the other cameos that I that I really enjoyed is when um they meet Nice Pool, which is a variant of Deadpool, except it's Ryan Reynolds without a mask, really long hair in a ponytail, and he doesn't cuss, he doesn't swear, he doesn't do anything that any of the other Deadpools do, and like, jeez, this Deadpool is a complete and total utter downer. I really hope this guy dies, and well, he does. And the funny part is he keeps getting shot and hit and everything. And Deadpool's like, well, how's it long take for you to regenerate? And he looks at him, he's like, regenerate? He's like, oh, screw it. I will say, though, that Dogpool, aka Mary Poppins, that is one ugly dog, but one adorable dog, too, at the same time. It really is. So, um, I will say another part is, of course, the fight choreography. The two fights between Logan and Deadpool, intense, brutal, well choreographed, well put together, seamless, at times hysterical, at times cringe inducingly gory and violent, but at the same time you're like, I know I shouldn't look, but I can't take my eyes off that movie screen.
Which part was gory?
Oh, the fight scenes.
Oh
So
yeah, yeah. I'll be honest though, like the whole fight scene in this movie, I knew there was gonna be a lot of blood coming on. I mean, the first fight between like, the fight scenes between the yeah at the opening act where he's Wolverining, and yeah, he used a lot of like the
oh
remainings of
man,
Logan's
that whole
bones.
sequence.
200.
I'm like,
I love that reference. Like, I love his reference to his, to Ryan Reynolds' own wife TV show. There are 206 bones in the human body, and there are 207 episodes of Gossip Girl. I love that
yeah,
reference.
yeah, because that's how Blake Lively got her start. So yeah,
Yeah, like,
I love that reference myself. I won't lie.
yeah,
Um,
and that last part, sorry, that last part where he said about Logan was was the best thing that come out of the shithole in Canada, and he used a sword into the TVA's mouth, like, get my country's name out of your freaking mouth, and my sword.
oh yes, yeah, I absolutely. I was like, I loved that because there's only two really good superheroes that ever came out of any noteworthy superheroes that came out of Canada. One's Wolverine, the other's Deadpool. Who else is there? Alpha Flight. Who the hell is them? Why should anybody care? Without
One of the things
Wolverine,
that,
Alpha Flight.
yeah, sorry,
Go ahead, Ferris. No, go
yeah,
ahead.
one of the things, like, in the X-Men movies that kind of bother me, like, even in the Wolverine, there was not a single mention of Alpha Flight, like, nothing, because I knew the Alpha Flight because of, I read an X-Men guide comic, and
Mhm.
one of the like, one of the pages I found is actually Alpha Flight, because before the X-Men, like, Wolverine was part of a Canadian
Mhm.
organization which is called the Alpha Flight. Because I remember, I remember it was in that guidebook, and it was even mentioned in one of the X-Men Legends 2 game, Rise of Apocalypse, like during the
Mhm.
PS2 and the
Mhm.
Xbox
Yeah.
console at the time. And yeah, and I remember,
Yeah.
I remember those characters when I read in the guidebook, and I'm surprised, like, there was not a single mention of Alpha Flight throughout, like, the whole Fox X-Men movies. And I really hope that one day, like, maybe Kevin Feige could do something with, the Alpha Flight characters to be part of, Wolverine's, history before joining the X-Men. I think that's, like, a whole big part of
Mhm.
the yeah, that's a whole big part. Yeah, same thing with
Yeah.
when I mentioned Big Hero 6, because Big Hero 6 was actually an X-Men spin-off with with
Mhm.
the with the Japanese mutant Shiro Yoshida, aka Sunfire, which Disney
Yeah.
did, and they never used any of the mutant characters in it,
Mhm.
because again, it was a Disney thing before Disney bought Fox.
Right. I will say the main plot point for the movie was simplistic, but it carried the movie extremely well. You don't overcomplicate a movie that's about two of the most violent and two of the most iconic characters in the Marvel universe, if not the whole X-Men sub universe itself. They're trying to save their homes. They're trying to get back so that they can fix their homes. That's all you need. Now, let me ask you, Ferris, about the Deadpool core. What were your thoughts on that whole bunch?
I love it. Actually, I knew, like, throughout, like, the trailers, like, we would definitely get a lot of Deadpool variants in it. Like, if we got a
Mhm.
Wolverine variant, like, from the beginning, and I knew they were gonna get, like, Deadpool variants over. I mean, we already talk about, like, various different version of Wolverine, from the comic accurate to the, again, there was a Age of Apocalypse, which I really love.
Oh, I
The
loved that. You
Yeah,
have no idea how much I loved that.
yeah, I
Yes.
know. Me too. Then the John Byrne Wolverine, the brown and yellow, which he fought Hulk. I thought it was seriously. I thought he was gonna fight. I thought he was gonna fight a different Hulk, like maybe Eric Bana or Edward Norton. But no, it's still the same Hulk from the MCU. Ah, damn it! I
Yeah.
was kind of hoping it was Eric Bana or something, because
Yeah,
both
but
Eric Bana and Hugh Jackman are Aussies.
yeah, but
Yeah,
they have to be careful with their rights because unfortunately, Universal still does own the rights, I think, to the Hulk, so they have to be careful who they use. So, but
yeah,
yeah, either way,
yeah. You're
um,
right. So, anyways, going back, like, I love, like, the patch variant, and of course, like, the whole Wolverine crucified thing. Yeah,
oh,
that was like,
dude, that whole scene that was cool as hell.
yeah, I know.
You
Oh
have
my
no,
god, they did, they did a really nice homage to, all these Wolverine variants like throughout history,
Mhm,
like, like comics to screen and everything, like
mhm,
yeah, like I love it. I'll be honest though, and until they finally get to the one Wolverine that lets down his entire world. Okay, so that whole sequence was actually really, that's actually really cool. And yeah, and going to the
mhm,
Deadpool variants, I knew there was going to be a lot of, a lot of comedic moments in that movie, especially
mhm.
when they all appear like in Doctor Strange portal and they all come out, like everything from Lady Deadpool to, Cowboy Deadpool to the skeleton Deadpool that floats around, the kid Deadpool and baby Deadpool, and the first variant that appears was actually nice Deadpool, like when he has no cancer and
Y-
everything. I thought that was very nice. And at
Yeah,
first I thought,
and
yeah, yeah, and Dogpool, the one he owns, like Dogpool, like
Oh, mm,
every moment
Mary
with
Poppins.
Dogpool, yeah, Mary
yeah.
Poppins. The whole moment with Mary Poppins just really sold me, and then I get a laugh at it, like like that before landing the car, and yeah, before landing the car. It was like if if Mary Poppins here need a papa, you could just call me. Like, no way, I'm not just gonna give you my dog anyway. But he did at the end.
Well,
that
yeah,
the
he ends up
Yeah,
dying because, well, unlike other Deadpools, he doesn't regenerate. And I was mentioning that while you were away. Um, when Deadpool says to Nice Pool, so how long does it take you to regenerate? He's like, with a mouthful of blood, regenerate? He's like, oh fuck.
oh my
And
god.
Logan's the one that calls him out. He's like, you just murdered that guy. You just literally murdered that guy. And I'm thinking, you're the Wolverine. You murder people for fun, so to speak. Yeah, but the backstory with this Wolverine, the fact that he had left the school, and the army of mutant hunters or whatever had come to the Xavier school and killed everybody, and then he went on a whole bloody rampage himself, and pretty much just ruined the reputation of the X-Men and all mutants, pretty much. So
I, I
that
got a question
that
for you, Ambassador.
sure.
Um, like, were you bothered by the fact like every variant of Wolverine have like different kind of hairstyle? I mean, I was annoyed by the fact, like, I mean, I wouldn't mind like if they do like the, like if they do Age of Apocalypse, or let's say like the one that he get crucified. Were you bothered by the fact like the last variant of Wolverine, like his hairstyle was so off? Because like after like three X-Men movies, like his hairstyle just suddenly gets really off. I mean, his hairstyle in Days of Future Past was so accurate, and even in Apocalypse was just a like few minute cameo. But I'm kind of get bothered by the fact like his hair doesn't really, like, it doesn't look very Loganish.
Well, here's the thing, Ferris. For me, I think they do that to try and differentiate between the different types of Logans, because he's gonna be able to keep his hair trimmed and styled in a certain way depending on the situation that he's in. If you notice, when he was Patch Wolverine, when he was in Madripoor and everything, he was able to keep his appearance very clean cut, very trimmed, very stylized, and everything, because he was a gambler and everything. So, and when he's out in the wilderness, his hair gets a little more messed up and schmooshed and everything. So that doesn't necessarily bother me. I mean, it's to me, yes, I know his claws and the cigar and the hair are his three most iconic parts of his appearance. But as long as the basic idea is there, it doesn't necessarily bother me. But that, of course, is me.
Yeah, so anyways, yeah, I was kind of like bothered by the fact like, and like every single Wolverine in different movies like have, have all these different hairstyles, like after the first X-Men trilogy, but then going into like I honestly don't like his hairstyle in X-Men Origins and the Wolverine, but Days of Future Past, okay, was still like spot on, I would say. But
Yeah.
Logan, it's Logan is fine, but Logan is fine, but yeah, and now in Deadpool and Wolverine, like, oh man, like we're going back to like the Wolverine style haircut again back in 2013 when like, oh, I guess like you said, I guess we're gonna have to have a very different version, as you said.
Yeah. I mean, because you got to be able to differentiate one Wolverine from another. You can't have everybody have the exact same hairstyle. It would become somewhat visually boring, for lack of a better term. Now, the other thing I want to ask you about is the main big bad. I mean, the main big bad, not Mr. Paradox, but Cassandra
Cassandra
Nova.
Nova.
Cassandra Nova, played by Emma Corrin, I believe is the actress's name. What did you think of her performance?
I thought she was very I thought she was very like menacing at times, and I knew like from reading the when you I think you said it was in it was still in the main X-Men continuity, but it was called New X-Men. Actually, it was written by Grant Morrison.
Yeah,
He was created by
yeah.
Grant
Mhm.
Morrison. I think and
Mm-hmm.
I knew like the back when she said like we share the same womb, like, oh my god, like
Mm-hmm.
this is like going back to Grant Morrison, because I think like
Mm-hmm.
this year like a lot of the X-Men theme, movie and show, like particularly for Deadpool and Wolverine and X-Men 97, if you haven't watched it, it draws a lot of inspiration from the Grant Morrison new X-Men
Yes.
run, because
Yeah,
yeah,
it
you
does.
have yeah, Cassandra Nova was such a big part in the new X-Men comics, and even in Astonishing X-Men, which was written by none other than, I'm not gonna I really hate to mention his name, Joss Whedon. Yeah, and yeah,
I get it. I get
yeah,
it.
yeah, he was, like the character was, utilized like in those two series, and it was like a big, it's a really big part of the big part of the story, like in different issues. But I think like the way she was portrayed, in this movie was quite menacing, and the way she uses her powers to like, go into your
Mm-hmm.
mind and things. She's definitely like the polar opposite of Charles Xavier, because
Yes.
she's trying to like, she's almost like trying to torture your soul instead of going to your mind. She's like trying to get into your soul and tries to like reprogram, or maybe to just try to kill you or anything. Like like Emma
Mm-hmm.
Corrin is such a fantastic actress, because I actually watched her in the Netflix series The Crown, where she plays the younger
Hmm.
Princess Diana, and
Oh,
yeah, she was so spot
I
on
did.
in that show. And
I did not know that.
yeah, and
Wow. Okay.
she was a newcomer. Actually, she was kind of a
Hmm.
newcomer at the time during The Crown, and now like in Deadpool and Wolverine, like she kind of like stole the show as this menacing villain who was very much the opposite of Charles Xavier. And I really like the way she performs. But I think like the whole motivation of wanting to get out of the void and try to destroy, just try to destroy the TVA for. Yeah, I think she was put there by the TVA, right? I think like her
Yeah, she was
motivation
put
was.
there as a TVA to be kind of a warden, in the manner of speaking, of the void. But
Yeah,
she realized she was being used by the TVA, and she's like, "Well, screw you guys. I'm going to do my own thing." I was honestly not aware, because my wife is a really big fan of those types of shows, The Crown and Bridgerton and so on. So I'm gonna have to mention that to her later. So, because I honestly didn't realize that she played a young Princess Diana. Um, the other thing I will say about Cassandra Nova, I liked the design for the character, because in the comics, I remember her design very distinctly from the Grant Morrison run. She was not the most visually appealing, and she's the only other actress that I'm aware of that can carry off one of three actresses who can carry out the bald look and still look attractive. The other two, of course, being Sigourney Weaver for Alien 3 and Demi Moore for G.I. Jane. So,
What about Natalie Portman and what's that called? V for Vendetta.
oh, damn it. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah. I completely forgot about Natalie Portman and V for Vendetta. Yeah. So, yeah. Okay, so 4 actresses. My bad.
But I gotta say though, like the way like she killed the way she killed Chris Evans, Chris Evans,
Johnny Storm. Yeah, ripped
yeah.
his skin off of him.
Oh my
And,
god, that was so menacing. Like that was like the
yeah.
moment I got kind of scared of Cassandra Cain because you really don't want to mess with her. Even Pyro couldn't even
Mm-mm.
even Pyro couldn't even what's that called couldn't even
Handle
dare to
her.
mess with her. Yeah,
Well, hell,
honestly though,
even
yeah,
Juggernaut didn't dare to mess with her, and he's the one that's the most protected because the helmet of his.
yeah, and speaking of
So,
Juggernaut, though, like all the cameos, like during the Void,
hmm
like when they're all in the what's that called? We're all in
Scott
Cassandra's
Lang.
base. Yeah, and Scott
Well,
Lang's dead
skeleton.
body.
Yeah,
Yes,
giant
yeah,
man's dead body.
yeah.
And
I swear, I did not expect to see Tyler Mane just a few seconds getting his head
oh,
chopped off again,
oh,
and
yeah,
yeah,
dude,
yeah.
that was one of 3 fights. One of 2 fights everybody was waiting for, and they just, yep, lop, you're done. Bye bye head. Bye bye Sabretooth. I
Behold
will.
the head of your precious Furiosa. You come for me, you'll come for her. I'm sorry. I mean him. I'm actually gender blind.
Granted.
That was
Oh, I
so
forgot about,
funny.
yeah, Charlize Theron was bald in Fury Road when she played Furiosa. I forgot about that.
Yeah,
Damn it.
that makes 2 of us. I think there's so many. I think there are probably like a few.
There's more than we realize,
Yeah, there's more than we realize.
but yeah,
Yeah, but
anyway.
I gotta say though, aside from Tyler Mane returning as Sabretooth and Pyro, like Pyro was so different, like the way he talks. I mean, I love the whole new design where he's more yellow and red, just like just like the
Mhm.
comics. I thought that they were gonna give him a new kind of character, like maybe like an Australian accent or something, because Pyro was very known for being an Aussie.
Yeah.
And I think
Mhm.
I don't think like Aaron Stanford could really play an Aussie. I think he's probably gonna get intimidated by Hugh Jackman. Could be,
Oh
I don't
yeah.
know. Yeah, because again, like the way that Pyro came and he just took out like Human Torch's flame, like oh my god, that was just like that was such a Pyro thing to do. Like I didn't even I only recognized his face. Like his voice was so different because like
Well, yeah,
back
because
then,
he's
like
older now. Because it's been a while since we've seen him. Because the last movie we saw him in was
Last Stand.
Last Stand. Oh dear, don't get me started on that movie. I hate that movie.
Yeah, but here's the thing about here's the thing when we first saw him when we first saw him like 20 years ago like during X2, he was kind of he was kind of like a high school, he sounded like a really high school dude, like it's a dorky looking helmet. What does it do? And then somehow in this movie he just sounded a bit like Steve Buscemi somehow. Like wow, his voice really changed. Yeah, his voice really changed a lot. Like what the hell happened
Well,
to you, man? Were you on
that does
crack?
that can happen. Um. Okay. Speaking of cameos, let's get to the big 4. After they escape from Cassandra Nova's headquarters, and obviously they come across nice pool, and then they have their big fight in the van. And oh my gosh, that fight in the van!
The Honda Odyssey really fucks.
Yeah,
No, that's a commercial.
yeah, the Honda Odyssey. It really fucks. It takes a fuck and then keeps on trucking.
Yeah, I know. I
Oh
wasn't
dear.
expecting when Wolverine knocks Deadpool on the radio, they played The Greatest Show.
Oh dear heavens, yes.
That was a nice touch. And then they
Yes, it
played,
was.
you're the one that I want by
Uh,
by John Travolta and what's his
Olivia
co-star?
Newton-John from Greece. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh my god, that was that was so funny.
Okay.
Like the music really sinks in with the action. It
Yes, he
really did.
does.
Until yeah, like you said, we got to like they all fight until they get really tired, and somehow they were brought by
Logan ties him up in a bunch of seat belts.
yeah, they were brought up by by the four cameos, like you said. Wow, I did not expect to see the returning Fox actress, which is Garner. Oh my
Jennifer
god,
Garner
like
as
she's
Elektra. Wh-
oh my god, even at 52 she still looks good. Oh my god, like
Yeah,
she's yeah.
and
Wesley Snipes, oh my god, Wesley Snipes as
as
Blade.
old Blade.
Yeah,
Yeah,
as old
old
Blade. And he
dude.
still has,
He
yeah, his soul patch just turned like gray, white gray.
right.
Oh my god. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, he looks good. And
and
can
then
I
he
just say, yeah, and can I just say one thing? Channing
mhm.
Tatum really nails Gambit, I gotta say.
Yes, he does. Yes, he so does.
Oh my
And I
god, I
love the
still
fact
rem-
he says he's like, I almost feel like I was born here in the void.
yeah. Oh my god, I still remember like when you say like like Channing Tatum didn't really fit in. Even Tim from Tim's Talk, he said that he wasn't he's not a bad actor, it just wasn't right for the part. I got to say he really put his heart and passion towards this character.
He
No
really
wonder.
did. He
Yeah,
he sold me on on him. Now I thought maybe they would have brought Tyler Kirshner back from
Taylor Kitsch.
Taylor Kitsch, excuse me, Taylor Kitsch. I thought maybe they would have brought him back, but nope, they went to Channing Tatum. And honestly, I love the fact that we got a comic accurate adaptation of his outfit. The leather duster, the armored greaves and everything on his legs, the headband, the whole thing, the cards, the staff. It was just perfect. And of course we of course had Daphne Keene return as Laura.
But I do got a fun fact for you though. Actually, like Channing Tatum, I did say before that Channing Tatum did audition for Gambit in X Men: The Last Stand before the character gets cut out. Like several other actors were or even were in content to play the part. Like there was even Josh Holloway who was known for playing Sawyer in the TV series Lost, and there's also James
Mhm.
Franco even did audition. Well, thank God, like that didn't even happen. Even I heard that Josh Holloway even get casted as Remy LeBeau in X-Men Origins Wolverine, and
Mhm.
but the studio wanted someone younger, so they eventually audition. Channing Tatum did audition again, and Taylor Kitsch auditioned, and they just picked Taylor Kitsch. Then there was supposed to be like an X-Men Origins Gambit movie, which acts as a spin-off to X-Men Origins Wolverine, but that didn't happen, and so Taylor Kitsch contracts get expired, and so Channing Tatum was gonna
Mhm.
be playing the character, and there was two directors there were gonna be uh, trying to get the movie into production, from Rupert Wyatt, the director of Rise of the Planet of the Apes, and Doug Liman, who directed The Bourne Identity and Mr. and
Mhm.
Mrs. Smith. But somehow it didn't really it didn't work out well for Fox though, because yeah, they didn't really care much about the character. And Channing Tatum, even though uh like he get casted, and yeah, he was going to produce and everything, like returning in Deadpool and Wolverine, like he really nails that Cajun accent. Like he was literally channeling the Gambit voice actor Chris Potter in it. Like when you remember Gambit, you probably think of Chris Potter, right? The voice actor.
Oh yeah, definitely. And the fact, I have not had a chance to watch X-Men 97. Um I wanted to. I've seen clips of it. My buddy that we went to, who went with me to see Deadpool and Wolverine, he's told me, he's like, dude, it's really good. I've had some other friends here online who've told me that it's really good. I've even had I won't say more, but I've had an offer to be able to watch X-Men 97. So,
Yeah,
but
I love the yeah. Going back to the going
mhm,
back to the cameos again. I really love like every interaction. Like
mhm,
even references to like the other the other universes. Like when Deadpool sees Elektra, like couldn't recognize her, so yeah, that's Elektra. And
mhm,
I love the fact that I love the fact when he sees like when Deadpool sees Blade, he says, "And you, I thought you're, retired, retarded, retired."
Yeah, that for me was that for me was hilarious.
Yeah, there was even a not there was even a callback to like back then, like, I never, I don't like you. You never did. That was such a callback to the time where Ryan Reynolds and Wesley Snipes had a big feud or beef during the set of Blade Trinity, because
Hmm.
Wesley Snipes was known being too serious and staying in character, while Ryan Reynolds was
Hmm.
very much
Yeah.
an improv actor. So yeah, again, the character of Hannibal King in Blade
Oh,
Trinity.
I loved
Uh,
I loved him. I loved him in Table King and Blade Trinity. I absolutely do.
well, the
So
character in the comics was completely different. He was kind of like John
yeah,
Constantine meets Van Helsing. That's kind of his character.
yeah,
I mean, they're trying to give him a modern update for for the 2000s, and that's
yeah,
why they got Ryan Reynolds in it. And so yeah, the story, like between Wesley Snipes and Ryan Reynolds, didn't get along. uh Finally, like, it's a good thing that Ryan Reynolds trying to like reconcile with Wesley Snipes and bring him back again, like.
yeah, and
It's a good thing they put their past behind and create something new, and bringing Wesley
yeah,
Snipes
and
back.
yeah. The whole fight scene with the four heroes. I mean, and granted, we don't know what happens to Elektra or Blade or Gambit, but we do know that they're able to get Laura out of the void, and she's with Logan now and all of them. And I was happy to see that at the end and everything when he's in the apartment with everybody, and you see Laura there around the table, and she absolutely kills it in the fight scene at the end. I mean,
Still wearing the same glasses from the
yeah, oh,
Logan
dude,
movie.
yeah, the sunglasses, yeah, that absolutely worked. So, and yeah, to Bartang, yeah, I the everything you just said, all the animated series, dude, yeah. And we'll get to that in a little while. I have my own thoughts on that, but we'll get to that when we get to that. Um, what did you think of the whole concept of the timeline ripper? Was that did that work out for you well, Ferris, or anything? Was that a good enough MacGuffin?
I thought like the whole idea of a timeline ripper, in the movie was like, yeah, I think it really worked well, because if one
Mhm.
thing, like the X-Men movies, if there's one weakness in the X-Men movies that the writers and producers kind of have, is timeline. That's that's one thing. The weakness is I think that's probably like a nod to like the whole X-Men universe's biggest weakness is timeline. Yeah, so that's why there's a timeline ripper. You get the reference, right?
Yeah, I do. So it's kind of a callback because it has a similar design to the Infinity Stone Crusher from season one of What If. So if I'm putting my devices together correctly. So,
There was an Infinity
but
Stone, I think, like during there was also like an Infinity Stone in like Cassandra Nova's sling ring he took from Doctor Strange, I think. I think she because
mm,
yeah, because there was a portal, like a sling ring portal that was open for Logan and Wade to
yeah,
like go into.
She opens it for him.
Yeah,
But
and
then she opens it again to get out herself, and then she uses it to bring she leaves it open for all the Deadpools to come through.
yeah, what's
So,
really interesting, here's another interesting thing about Cassandra Nova. She literally knows how to kill like an enemy. Like when I remember the part where when they were in the small house, in the house where the big four cameos lived in. And
mhm.
there's still one more. There's still one more. Is it Magneto? Please let it be Magneto. He's dead. Fuck.
Yeah.
Now Disney gets cheap. It's like Pinocchio's face just sucked up into my ass.
I love that line. I won't lie. I left.
Yeah. So we're gonna need
Oh
Magneto's helmet.
man,
It was destroyed. It was destroyed.
damn it!
Fuck.
Yeah. So, and ladies and gentlemen, I want to give another warm welcome to another regular here. You know him, you love him. He's simply the George.
Hey,
Hey,
what's up,
Georgie.
George?
Hello.
Hey, buddy. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. You know, this was a very interesting weekend
So,
in the MCU. But hey, Deadpool and Wolverine really started this exciting weekend, and oh boy,
me and Ferris have been, everything have been talking about Deadpool Wolverine. Your thoughts? I'm assuming you got to say it yourself.
yeah, I saw it Saturday afternoon, and I had a
Mhm.
blast with it. Like right from the beginning, because rewatching not just like Deadpool 1 and 2, but rewatching the Wolverine movies because I've been reviewing them on my channel. Not so much the
Mhm.
X-Men movies, but just the Wolverine movies. Whether it was the bad X-Men Origins Wolverine to the pretty good, almost great the Wolverine to the perfect Logan, and then obviously the
Mhm.
great Deadpool movies. I was very curious how they were going to handle, especially after that last trailer that came out the week before the movie came out that revealed X-23 Laura. And it was obviously the day before
Mhm.
I rewatched Logan in preparation, not just for the movie, but for my review. And I was like, how are they going to handle this Logan stuff? And
Mhm.
that opening scene where where Deadpool is using
I
Logan's
know.
adamantium skeleton, you know,
Mhm.
there is nothing disrespectful about that. In fact, I think it was fitting that Wolverine, the Fox Wolverine was used as a weapon one more time, just to take out some TVA agents.
Mhm.
I mean, I was waiting for the "Am I going to defile this grave for money?" joke because most people would make that joke that we're bringing back Hugh Jackman for more money. But that joke paid off. And by the way, I don't know if it was mentioned in this review. The song "Bye Bye Bye" was played in X2 United when they were in Scott's car,
I
I
and
remember.
remember
Yeah.
And
that.
Pyro,
Yeah.
who was like one of the main antagonists of this movie, was in that car. And he was the one that wanted to play a song because it was too quiet in the car.
Yeah, and they shut it off immediately, and understandably so, because I will say it, I hate in sync.
I get that. We're both from different generations. I grew up with pop. I
Ugh.
grew up with pop music. Okay, so yeah, I know you're an '80s child. I'll be honest. I love '80s music as well, and yeah, everything like everything from the soundtrack. It really elevates the film. Okay, everything from the soundtrack it really elevates the whole movie. Like, there's nothing really suck or bad about it. Like, everything
Mhm.
in Deadpool is supposed to be weird. You know that.
Yeah, and I just want to say to Bartang in the chat, adamantium supposed to be unbreakable. Yes, but this is defective adamantium at this point, and the other thing you have to know is he breaks the bones at the joint for the most part.
Yeah.
So he doesn't break actual like whole bones in half. He's breaking bones at the joint, and the rib bones weren't fully adamantium plated, so he could break those as well and do that. So, but regardless, it was a great sequence. I loved it.
Yeah,
I
but
loved it.
also it established the R-rated tone of this movie because everyone kept wondering,
Well,
like, is this
everybody
gonna
knew it
be?
was going to be an R-rated
But
movie.
it's like, was it gonna be like a soft rated R? Like people weren't. I don't think some people were taking the R rating seriously, but I think once they saw that opening scene, they were like,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh boy,"
Oh, boy,
because
they're
it
going.
wasn't just like the f bombs that were dropped in this movie, or maybe some of the inappropriate jokes that were thrown here or there. It was like the action. And look, I'm just gonna say it. Maybe I'm thinking too hard about it. This was probably the best looking action I've seen since Winter Soldier in an MCU movie, or
Pretty
one of the
damn
best
close.
action sequences. Because Winter Soldier to
Pretty
me had the best action in the MCU.
pretty damn close because it had the most intense physical fight choreography of any of the movies lately. A lot of it's been a lot of CGI. This was more so physical, visceral, mano a mano, blood and guts, ripping each other to pieces, blowing stuff up type of action. Though I will say the CGI effect for Cassandra Nova sticking her hands in a person's head, the first time I saw it, I was like, yeesh. But after a while, it kind of, for lack of a better phrase, grows on you. So
Well, she was supposed to be menacing, so like she's probably gonna suck out your soul.
yeah, that too. Let me ask you, George, because I've asked Ferris this as well. Of all the cameos that they had in this movie, what was one of your favorites, or what was your favorite?
Oh, the Wesley Snipes one. That was the one I was not expecting. Like, I knew Jennifer Garner because she was confirmed last year to be in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Although I will say Jennifer Garner, even though she's in her early 50s, she still looks very beautiful.
Well, yeah. Yeah,
like she looks very beautiful.
She ages very well,
and she wasn't de-aged or anything. Like, she just looks like it's natural.
Yeah, she still looks good for her age.
Yeah, but the but yeah, it was definitely the Wesley Snipes that was probably, because he's not even Fox, he's New Line Cinema, so I wasn't even expecting him to appear, and especially at a time where Marvel's struggling to get a Blade movie out because writers keep coming and going. But just to see the OG Marvel movie hero, because people always say it's either Wolverine from X-Men or Spider-Man from 2002. No, it was Blade. Blade was the one that started it. A year after Batman and Robin came out and nearly destroyed the comic book movie genre, Blade came in and rejuvenated it. He's the original R-rated hero as well. Yeah, Deadpool and Logan took it up a notch, but it was Blade that, if it wasn't for Blade, we wouldn't be getting a lot of these movies. And just to see Wesley Snipes, and he still looks damn good in that suit. He's still, you see a little bit of, gray hairs in the beard and the hair, but he looks damn good. And, he was probably the most surprising.
And when they're riding into Cassandra Nova's compound for the big final, the battle they're in, the compound, he's like, there'll only be one Blade, and Deadpool looks at the camera and he's like, I can't say anything because of what they're doing, but at this rate, you have to ask yourself, is that a look of, you're right, or do you realize what they're trying to do and they keep screwing it up? I mean,
it's like
I said this a few months ago in my video and everything, my stream that I did, where I said I'm pretty much done with the MCU. And I'm like, it's a guy who's half human, half vampires, and he hunts and kills vampires. How hard can it be? Anyway, go ahead, George.
But at this point, it's like, first of all, just seeing Wesley Snipes get in action, I'm like, you know what? Just give us Blade 4 with him going through the multiverse, killing multiverse vampires. You're going to make a ton of money, I feel like.
Yes!
Maybe, like at this point, just give us that. No disrespect to Mahershala Ali, because he's a great actor, and I think he's getting screwed royally at this point, because he was the one that wanted this. And Marvel promised him, and they just can't. Like he was confirmed before we were supposed to get, Spider-Man 3 with Tom Holland, or Ant-Man 3, or Guardians 3. Like, this was confirmed back in 2019 when, the first part of
2024.
And we're going to get Fantastic Four much sooner. And I'm glad we're finally getting Fantastic Four, but I thought we were going to get Blade. No. I thought we were going to get Blade earlier on. But
hashtag not my Fantastic Four. Nope.
But the other, I guess, appearance that was a surprise was seeing Chris Evans as Johnny Storm.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing, because I took my mom to see this movie, and she didn't recognize a lot of these characters. She was like, "Who was that?" when Wesley Snipes came on, because she never saw Blade, and she was like, "Wait, is that Jennifer Garner?" I was like, "Yeah, she played Elektra in Ben Affleck's Daredevil movie," and she didn't even know Ben Affleck had a Daredevil movie. But yeah, when she saw Chris Evans, she was like, "Oh, Captain America!" And then Flame On. That was fun to see. But also Channing Tatum.
I'm sorry, what?
Channing Tatum finally getting to be Gambit. And I'm on a Gambit high because I've been rewatching I was watching X-Men 97 before this. And without spoiling X-Men 97, I will say Gambit, like the way Gambit was handled on that show, Sad but great. I will say that.
I already know about the scene. The scene.
But anyways,
I'll say it. The name is Gambit, mon ami.
But just seeing
it.
Just seeing Channing
Love
Tatum
it.
because he was supposed to get that movie finally getting to play and much longer than John Krasinski in Multiverse of Madness. Like this was like to me like what Deadpool and Wolverine did was probably the respectful way of how to do the multiverse. In it that it's not just cameos. Each appearance, even if it was small, played a big role. And seeing Laura again, it tells us that Logan was not undone because the sacrifice that he made for her. You saw how calmer she seemed, how she talked about how she had a happier life, just how she got to grow up.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was the point of Logan at the end. Not just the fact that it was the end of the road for Logan, but to make the sacrifice for the daughter that ultimately was created due to a lab, but to make sure that she wouldn't turn out like him.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, obviously, you got stuck in the void. That's crappy and all you're part of her resistance. But before that, she obviously probably had a much happier, normal life than what Logan had.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
Just to see, her grow up, to see, even though it was an alternate Wolverine, just seeing her and Hugh Jackman reuniting, working together, the chemistry was still great.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of stuff just warmed my heart and told me that, you know what, this movie was respectful to Logan, not disrespectful. I think people just want to make a big deal about everything.
Well,
and look, I love all the Deadpool movies, including Deadpool 2, which I do think is still the weakest of the Deadpool movies, but I still think it's a great movie.
I think it's still solid.
It's a great movie in my opinion. Like, I mean, if I'm gonna give my grades of the Deadpool movies, Deadpool 1's an A+ in my opinion. Deadpool 2 probably an A- because there's like a few things I didn't love, but I still enjoyed a lot. This, I know in my review I said an A-, but honestly, the more I think about this movie and look back at stuff, I feel like this is more like an A for me. I wasn't a big fan of the villains of this movie, the Cassandra and Paradox, but they weren't the worst villains in an X-Men or MCU movie. I mean, Cassandra
They're still
was
entertaining, though.
Yeah, they were still entertaining, and just to see watching Cassandra was like, man, imagine if like Charles Xavier just went rogue and just like didn't even give any rat's heck. And by the way, I like that the cameos weren't like, they were Fox cameos. They weren't even like X-Men cameos because you know how easy and predictable it would be to just throw in any version of Magneto, Fassbender, or McKellen, or any version of Charles. Like, even if you don't get Stewart, you could have thrown James McAvoy in there, or getting Jennifer Lawrence as Mystique, or James Marsden as Cyclops.
Yeah.
Like, and any version of those characters. Like you could have easily done that, but instead it was like, we're going to look in our Fox library, and we're also going to look at missed opportunities that we just couldn't do.
Well, let me draw a parallel here. Deadpool and Wolverine pulled off a multiverse hopping adventure where the Flash failed.
Mm-hmm.
Not even putting aside the ratings for the two movies. Deadpool and Wolverine nailed it. The Flash fumbled it, and badly. So, and Bartang, we'll get to that question here in a little bit too and everything. Where is Kang? Where are all the Kangs? Well, you can thank the stupidity of one Mr. Jonathan Majors for that.
Well,
can I just say something? Sorry, you want to go first, or I go first?
Yeah, I'll say. Well, here's the difference between Deadpool, Wolverine, and the Flash. Deadpool and Wolverine is essentially a love letter to Fox, Marvel, or Marvel pre-MCU, if you want to also include Blade in there, because I got to remind everyone, Blade is New Line Cinema, not Fox, which is why that was the biggest surprise. But I love seeing it. because whether you loved some of these movies or not, because obviously, people will love the good X-Men movies. There are people that, even though you may recognize 2005 Fantastic Four may not be the best movie, it was still an entertaining movie, and it had a likable cast and all that. Because I that's how I think of the 2005 Fantastic Four, and also a guy that looks like my uncle plays the thing, so I have that to always make it rewatchable for me. Yeah, Michael Chiklis, but and even though like Daredevil and Elektra obviously weren't great movies, like they were part of an era that was trying to establish the tone of comic book movies, and the credits just I was getting tear up during the credits because it's like, man, look how far we've gotten, and we've had all these memories.
Oh yeah, Good Riddance by Green Day,
that song from Green Day.
No, it was actually I Hope You Had the Time of Your Life by Green Day.
Yeah, I love that song. It's like one of those heartfelt songs for me. So, like, to me, this felt like a love letter, especially bringing back. I mean, obviously, Chris Evans was Captain America in the MCU, but to have him come back as Johnny Storm, even for like a few minutes, to get Jennifer Gardner come back as Elektra and actually, kicking ass, like that was like cool to see, like her finally in a good movie. To finally get Channing Tatum as Gambit, to get Aaron Stanford back as Pyro, and actually doing better than he was in the other movies. And I thought he was good in the other movies. Like, I thought he was underrated in the other movies. Just to get the original Sabretooth actor back for that brief for that brief moment, it really felt like a love letter, and just recognizing how far we've gotten and all that, where the Flash was forcing itself, but it just never embraced.
It was trying to be a reboot.
It was like, outside of maybe Michael Keaton kicking ass as Batman still, because Michael Keaton's awesome no matter what movie he's in. What else was there to celebrate about DC in this movie besides Michael Keaton still kicking ass? There really wasn't anything else. So it was
go ahead, George.
So it was like, Deadpool and Wolverine took what used to be considered the worst aspects of the Fox universe and redeemed them. Yes. Redeemed Jennifer Gardner as Elektra. Redeemed Chris Evans also as Johnny Storm. The Colossus getting redeemed. Bringing back, Wesley Snipes maybe for one last time. Giving Channing Tatum the opportunity to finally beat Gambit.
Yes. Versus,
bad CGI in the Flash that just bringing back the dead actors, like just
that was
it just.
Well, can I just say something though? Like even though like Deadpool knows how to bring underrated characters and make them likable, like they did with Colossus in the first movie, and they bring Juggernaut in the second movie, which kind of like stumps on Last Stand Juggernaut. So like going into this movie, I knew like they would make characters that are so underrated to more likable. At one thing though, if they're doing another Deadpool movie, I would really want to see Deadpool and the X-Men, and I want to see if they can bring like James Marsden back as Cyclops, just be Cyclops leading the team, or maybe just trying to like command Wade to do something and then just blast him over, or maybe get Halle Berry becoming the second in command like she is supposed to be. And, or maybe just bring Famke Johnson and Kelsey Grammer back as Kelsey Grammer back, because Kelsey Grammer did appear, at the mid-credit scene for the Marvels, and he's now CGI and not practical. Yeah, I wanted to see if they're gonna do another Deadpool movie, which they can bring previous characters that weren't done well and make them gold, because everything that Ryan Reynolds touches, it becomes gold. I mean, you could agree with me that or not, right?
Oh, definitely. Yes, absolutely. I do want to address the chat real quick. Bartang, in regards to your comments on the Fantastic Four films of the early 2000s, they are very good. The only major critique I have for Rise of the Silver Surfer And these two guys probably know my critique, and I've talked about this, and I've ranted about this on a few occasions. Galactus is not a big, scary cloud. He is a massive cosmic being in kick-ass purple armor. He's not a cloud. Yeah, Bartang, I will say Green Lantern, I didn't dislike Green Lantern. I actually really enjoyed it, but I understand where other people were let down by it. So it is what it is. But yeah, the Fantastic Four films, the only two that I will acknowledge are the early 2000s, because honestly, the cast that they've got for this new one, I am utterly unimpressed with. I will not go see it.
I'm a little, I'm kind of a little, what's it called? I'm kind of a little underwhelmed because the fact that they couldn't, like they couldn't handle like casting much. I'm just gonna have to wait and see though. I mean, yeah, I mean, I love Pedro Pascal, but him as Reed Richards, nah, I can't really see him. I mean, I
They
still
should
love
have
Yo.
they should have either brought back John Krasinski, because he was actually, I think, was really good in Multiverse of Madness, or they should have recast entirely. But Pedro Pascal, no. And the rest of the cast, I don't know who any of these people are, and quite frankly, why should I care?
But I'll be honest though, I mean, like my first Fantastic Four movie, like of course it was the 2005, and I thought like the casting was pretty solid, except for Jessica Alba. I know she was really popular at that time, but like her as Susan Storm was like, nah, she doesn't seem like a motherly figure. She's like too young to be like the motherly figure
Mhm.
of the group. I mean, come on. Aside from her, there was also Ali Larder and Carrie Russell. Like you could have picked either of those two. Like why does it have to be Jessica Alba? And I know I'm pointing out these.
Because she looks better in her underwear.
Yeah, I know. I mean, that's not Sue Storm. Okay, Sue Storm is not about image sexually. No, no,
Mhm.
that's not the Sue Storm I
Yeah,
know. I know they're trying to did that back in the 90s where she had to wear like those bikini bottom suit thing that I dislike, and that was not, that was not
I,
Sue Storm. That was like the
I always
worst version of
I
Sue Storm.
always I always said
um,
if the 2005 movie just had a maybe better story, I think that movie could have really been up there with the first two X-Men movies, the first two Spider-Man movies, because it had a real. I really liked the cast. Like I actually thought Jessica Alba was fine as Sue Storm. Like I thought like they had a really good cast. Maybe Doctor Doom wasn't like the actor that played Doctor Doom. I forget who it was. Maybe
Julian
might not
McMahon.
Julian
may not have
McMahon.
been the best choice.
No,
So
he
he's
was
way better
good.
than but he was way better than the 2015 version. That was just I don't know what happened with that one, but like no, the cast I thought was really good, and if you just give them a better story, it could have been up there with the other classics of the 2000s. The first two Blade movies, the first two X-Men movies, the first two Spider-Man movies. Like
Yeah.
sometimes like if you just change the story around better, you could have like a really good movie story. Because I teach a storytelling class in the summer. Story is key. It's not just the casting. Because I always said I thought Liev Schreiber in X-Men Origins Wolverine, I thought he did a pretty good job as Sabretooth. And the guy that they got to play Stryker in the movie, I thought he was fine, although I prefer the previous Stryker, Brian Cox, I think was the original one.
Yeah.
I
Yes,
still thought
Brian
he was
Cox.
better, but I thought the one that they got for Origins was fine. But story
Honestly, I
matters.
liked
Story matters, and if you don't write
Yeah.
a good story, all that good casting. It's also how I feel about the Amazing Spider-Man 2. Like I thought that movie had a good cast, and I thought I was really excited when Jamie Foxx got cast as Electro, and obviously I thought he did a lot better in No Way Home. He redeemed himself in No Way Home, but the way Amazing Spider-Man 2 kind of wrote him in, kind of wrote some of the characters, kind of soured what could have been a good movie.
Yeah, but here's the thing. What they did with Deadpool and Wolverine, pulling all of these various facets, these other characters from other properties, and turning this story into something really memorable and really enjoyable, and not to mention just a plain kick-ass ride. I think was what everybody really needed, because as we've mentioned in the credits, you don't have a mid credit scene, you just have an end credit scene, and that was fine. But seeing all of the behind the scenes stuff with all the actors from the different properties, the different movies, and so on, and seeing Jon Favreau in this movie at the beginning as Happy Hogan, he's working at Stark Industries. It was good seeing him, all the little Easter eggs around his office, the suit, the helmet that the kid wore, one of the early prototype helmets from like the Mark II or the Mark III or whatever it is on the back of behind his desk, and so on. The little motion thingy that Pepper had on her desk in Iron Man 2. This was just one big love letter to all of us that grew up with all those comic book movies in the early 2000s. It paid respect to those characters. Bartang, as far as I know,
Oh yeah, it was on the ceiling. It was during In the Void. It was during In the Void before we caught up to Wolverine drinking and Deadpool waking up. There was like a statue of Scarlet Witch. Like it was on top. I saw the detail.
Oh, okay. I missed it. Probably I missed it then. So.
Oh, also just a reminder, because you brought up Jon Favreau appearing at the beginning. Don't forget, Jon Favreau got his start in comic book movies in Daredevil. Man. So that was a fitting.
He was happy. No, he was.
That was a
Foggy
fitting.
Foggy
Nelson, that was a fitting, like him being like the one MCU character at the beginning, just appearing, even though it's as Happy. Just nice little Easter egg reference in there, because he's a former Fox Marvel actor that moved into the MCU, not just as an actor but director.
Yeah, exactly. So, and got another guest joining us this evening, Mr. MB Geek, Mr. Grandpa Geek. Hey, buddy, good to see you.
Hey, buddy. I was just getting off. Turns out I got off at another chat. I've got about 15 minutes before I'm going to go to bed because I'm exhausted. Okay. Well, no, I have my grandson for 2 weeks.
Yeah, I saw you mentioned that in
so you guys, so I haven't seen the movie. I don't mind spoilers. I don't really care at this point. But y'all seem to have sounded like you very much enjoyed it.
Oh yeah, definitely. And buddy, go see it. It is one hell of a ride. So you obviously can probably rewind this once I wrap up. You can hear me and Ferris and George giving our thoughts on the different parts of it. But just an overview, yes, it was a whole lot of fun. It was a great ride, and I will say, if they happen to do a Deadpool 4, I will be interested to see how they tie it into the MCU, if they do bring him into the MCU proper. And I will say this. Him calling himself Marvel Jesus as a Christian, as a Catholic, didn't bother me in the slightest.
I thought it was hilarious, to be honest.
Well, it's kind of like, at this point, people were treating this movie as like, this has to be the savior of the MCU. Like, this has to, be the movie that will make everyone forget Marvel for their sins post Endgame, if you want to call it their mishaps. Not to say that everything
blunders.
That's come out.
There has been numerous
to say that
blunders.
Everything that's come out post Endgame has been bad. Like No Way Home was great.
No.
I thought Guardians Volume 3 was great. I thought Loki seasons 1 and 2 was great. I actually enjoyed the first MCU shows like WandaVision, Falcon, Winter Soldier, Loki. Hawkeye. I actually like Multiverse of Madness, although I recognize it has more flaws. I thought Shang-Chi was like the best surprise in there because I wasn't familiar with Shang-Chi, but the movie I thought was great. But like since then, it's like mishap after mishap. And I'm not just talking about the quality of some of the films, just I talked about Blade before, how you can't even get a Blade movie going. Just like the Jonathan Majors blunder that has happened.
Well, that was
It just feels like
that was somewhat on Marvel Studios for not vetting him more thoroughly, but that was more so on him for being
I
a
mean,
dumbass.
obviously he's responsible for his actions, but from what we've heard, he's had a history of mistreating women and all that. So that should have taken into account, especially when Marvel, if you're going to play the villain in a big Avengers movie and you're also having a lot more women characters like Yelena, Kate Bishop, Captain Marvel, there's going to be some actresses that are going to feel uncomfortable with that.
Yeah.
And even before that, if you still had Scarlett Johansson, I'm sure she would have been uncomfortable, or Elizabeth Olsen.
Yeah.
Even some actors.
Yeah,
I wanted to say this, and because I was talking on a previous panel yesterday, and I was talking with Val Mike, and we were talking about good storytelling. And I kind of gravitate towards, even though I'm a Christian and I'm a conservative, I watched The Last of Us. And I thought the best episode was the third episode with 2 gay men. I thought it was a beautiful episode. I thought it was fantastic. My only complaint was I didn't get more of it. I would have liked a whole mini series of these guys instead of it just being one episode, because I found it so well written and everything. And I did it. He said I should do a TikTok on it, and I did. I got like 15,000, which is rather rare for me. Or not 15,000, 1,500. Sorry. I'm not going to inflate my numbers. But, if you tell a good story and give us the escapism we want, if you want to preach a message to a certain audience, you do an indie film.
You don't try and shoehorn it into something that's more mainstream. And that's the big thing with this movie. It's escapism. They're not trying to preach a message. They're not trying to push an agenda. It's 2 of our favorite characters teaming up with a bunch of other characters that we love, kicking ass, taking names, and trying to save the universe. That's what Deadpool and Wolverine should have been, and it's what it was, and it delivered, and everybody walked out happy. Now, the big thing is, and we can kind of transition to some of the 1 or 2 other topics I didn't want to discuss or anything. Before we do that, though, for Ferris and George, if you were to give this movie a score, what would your score be for Deadpool and Wolverine?
Well, as I said before, Deadpool 1, I give an A+, Deadpool 2 an A-. This one, probably an A. Now, obviously, Hugh Jackman was great in this movie, but I think, as Geek said, story matters. And while I think this story is a lot better than what critics give it credit for, I still think the first Deadpool movie has a better story just because it feels simpler. It just feels more simpler, and that's what it needed to be. Because to me, the first Deadpool movie came at a time where you needed, I think, simpler, unique stories for superhero movies were needed. So I think, especially for solo movies, because team-up movies were becoming more popular. So that's why I still would rank the first Deadpool over this one. And I don't know, that one's just a classic for me. But to me, this would probably be an A. And as far as post-Endgame movies go, to me, it's No Way Home, Guardians, and then this one. Like, to me, those are my top 3 because not just because they were entertaining, but the emotional aspect of this movie. And it was carried by Hugh Jackman in this movie, who has done a phenomenal job as Wolverine, carrying that emotional aspect. And there was actually one message that I did get from this movie. It was, don't let your past define you. And that was obviously in regards to Wolverine and the baggage that he has carried in his universe, this version of Wolverine, because he was letting his past define him until others like Laura and Wei told him that, you are a hero in this other universe, even when others didn't think you can be. But then when you became the hero, you were the best hero.
Yeah. So, Ferris, what about you? What would your score be?
I would give like a 9 out of 10. Okay, for me, because I know it's kind of a big thing, because this is actually a very fun eventful movie. Like it is the first time you bring a Fox property to a Marvel Studios, in which Ryan Reynolds gets to do, gets to touch characters that were done right, and they were giving a purpose to the story and to the universes. And I think the way they handled the multiverse in this movie was actually well done, and I don't think I had a lot of complaint about it. And I had a fun no I had a fun time, because me and my sister, I would reference stuff to my sister when we were watching together, and like she would understand. And yeah, and because I know these movies and I grew up watching these movies, since like the first X-Men and the first Spider-Man came out, and now that Deadpool and Wolverine is handling multiverses. And yeah, I kind of enjoyed this more than Doctor Strange and the multiverse of madness. I mean, that's for me though.
Yeah, and I understand.
Yeah, me as well. And I did like Multiverse of Madness. I still do, but I feel like this movie succeeded where I think Multiverse of Madness had failed with in regards to the appearances.
Well, I think one of the things with Multiverse of Madness, and I think a couple of other shows after, I don't know if it was the movies or everything, but then the main character becomes the secondary character. Okay. That ain't good. I mean, I did not understand this, and then you had this problem with, if you didn't watch WandaVision, you had no idea what the hell was going on.
Yeah.
I found that very. Oh, I'm sorry, Ambassador.
No, go ahead, Geek. You're fine.
I found that very annoying, because I'm like, I did watch WandaVision. I didn't find it bad. If I'm going to talk about any of those shows, oh shit, Hawkeye is really the one that stood out to me. You know why it stood out to me? Because this young girl saw a man who had no powers whatsoever doing archery stuff. I'm like, okay, I can get behind this character. And I can get behind Clint. He's just got his family back. I'm like, everything to me was relatable.
Yep.
It worked for me. WandaVision, I liked kind of aspects of it. I didn't like the fact that you had to watch it to know what was going on in Doctor Strange. And I didn't watch many of the other Disney Plus stuff. I watched Echo. I didn't watch anything about the character. I just was like, first I thought I was going to be a little okay. And I was like, oh, they are just taking this woke shit to a whole level. So not only is she mute, but she's an amputee now.
Right. So, well, as far as for my score with Deadpool and Wolverine, this may sound cliche, but you know what? What the hell? It's my channel. It's my opinion. I give it a 10. It delivered on everything that I wanted. I walked out there with my friend. We had a good time. We enjoyed it. That for me was the most important thing. Will I probably watch it again? Oh yes, most definitely. Will I definitely get it on home video when it comes out? Most definitely. Oh yes.
Yep.
If on a second rewatch, if I find some issues with it, is it going to ruin it for me? No, because I got to spend some time with a buddy of mine from college I hadn't seen in a while. We got to have some fun, and this for me, does it resurrect my enthusiasm for the MCU? No, but as a movie just on its own, it was very, very enjoyable. It was well made, well acted, well written. It was very, very well. So, but with that being said, there is one other topic I know everybody's probably gnawing at the bit to hear my opinion on. Also, this weekend, as George alluded to, and I found out after I got out of the theater, there was a major announcement at San Diego Comic Con that a certain alumni of the early MCU, you could say the godfather of the MCU, is returning to the franchise. That, of course, being Mr. RDJ, Robert Downey Jr., as Doctor Doom. So, the question is, Ambassador, more than likely, how do you feel? I love Doctor Doom. I have always loved the character. I have a very nice collection of action figures and a statuette of Doom in our study / spare room / collection room, which I will probably show off at some point, just because of the announcement and so on. How do I feel about RDJ playing Doom? I have to wait and see what they're going to do. A good casting is the first step. What you're going to do with that casting is another thing. Now, obviously, we have the movie that he's going to make his major appearance in, that being Avengers Doomsday. Obviously, they are steering away from Kang the Conqueror. I will be honest. I wasn't uninterested or uninvested in Kang the Conqueror as the next big bad. But considering what has happened with Jonathan Majors and so on, obviously they're going to sweep all that aside. I'm sure they'll figure out a way to do it. It just depends on how well they do it.
It's going to be the Fantastic Four.
That, or it's going to be Brave New World. Captain America.
No, it's going to be the Fantastic Four. It's going to be.
It might be both. It could be both.
You think so?
It could be. Yeah, and Bartang, I know who you're talking about. Cillian Murphy, Oppenheimer. I loved Oppenheimer. Cillian Murphy was fantastic in that movie. Could he have made a better
Both
Doom?
him and Robert Downey Jr. won an Oscar.
Yes. So
both were terrific.
Hey,
Yes.
I'm gonna say this.
Go ahead, Geek.
All I care about is my wife is over the moon about it. One of my buddies on the group show, Ambassador, that you are a part of, put that leaked of the Fantastic Four thing, and I'm like, I love the
talking about from Fantastic Four. Yeah,
I love the 50s,
the 60s.
Yeah, I love that vibe. I love how I don't think we've been given the right information about this movie. Now, I don't know what it's going to do for the MCU, but I love the vibe of the movie.
Honestly, I'm just with the cast that they put together for Fantastic Four. I'm not impressed. Doctor Doom is another situation entirely. RDJ. Now the question is it going to be a variant of Stark that's going to become Doom, or is it going to be Doom proper? If it's Doom proper, okay, absolutely, I'm in for it. And even if it is a variant of Stark that becomes Doom, RDJ might be able to carry the performance. He's that
You
good.
know,
See, well,
But
this is what I thought when I saw Robert Downey Jr. Because obviously before that the Russos were confirmed. Which, by the way, I'm excited that the Russos are coming back
oh
because
yes,
they have directed some of the best MCU movies, not just Infinity War and Endgame, Civil War and Winter Soldier. They know how to handle a lot of characters, so I'm happy. I knew they were not going to come back unless Robert Downey Jr. was coming back in some shape or form because he had been hinting about it for some time that, hey, he's more open to it. You know, people thought, okay, maybe now that he's won his Oscar, he'll go back to the MCU in some shape or form. Now, for me, this is kind of what I think, regardless of how it works, I feel like this is what the MCU needed in regards to getting hype back because you got people theorizing again. People are talking about it again. And this weekend felt like a trip back to college in a sense where you have a Deadpool movie come out that was entertaining and exciting and some MCU news that could be exciting. Maybe it doesn't get executed well, but it brings back the hype and discussion. And we've seen Robert Downey Jr. can play a villain as he had shown in Oppenheimer, that he can play someone that's calculating and do certain stuff that can get under people's skin. Now, regardless of how they handle him, whether he is, you know, the official Victor Von Doom, maybe from another universe, or, you know, Tony Stark turning into, you know, Doctor Doom, I'm sure there's going to be some kind of backstory. I have a couple theories of how I would personally do it that would actually connect to Multiverse of Madness, but I'm not a writer for Marvel, so but what I got out of it was I'm curious. And I think I needed that because, like you, I've kind of started to sour on the MCU. Maybe earlier than you did. I can't recall when I started to. I think probably around the time Quantumanium came out, I think. Just started souring because I was disappointed with that movie, personally.
Doctor Strange, too.
So I did like Doctor Strange personally, so I didn't let that one ruin the MCU for me, but I soured at a certain point.
Yeah,
and
fair enough.
Just hearing this news, because I'm going to be honest, Kang just didn't appeal to me as a villain. But now hearing this news, because here's the thing, I know Robert Downey Jr., regardless of what material he's going to get, is going to give his all-out performance. He always does. So I know I'm going to get a great performance out of him. And I trust the Russos because they've never let me down the MCU. But I want to see how this plays out because we don't really know what cast of characters are going to be in it. One thing I will say, though, if Spider-Man is in these movies, bring that emotional connection where he sees someone that looks like his mentor, because our boy in the MCU just keeps getting the crap smacked out of him, being forgotten, losing his aunt, losing his mentor, and now a villain that's going to look like his mentor is coming in. Maybe it's his mentor from another universe. We don't know yet. Bring the emotional crutch, which I think the Russos will do. But it would be a missed opportunity, in my opinion, if you don't do that, if Spider-Man's in these movies. I think he will be. The Russos love having Spider-Man. They utilize Spider-Man very well in these movies. But I don't know.
It's definitely going to be a different Spider-Man than what we've seen before.
Can I say something real quick, Ambassador? What I would like to see, and I agree with a lot of people on this, I think the beginning of the movie should be him becoming and getting, you know, horrifically scarred Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah.
And that's where, you know, he becomes the hero of his country. Now, I heard some people who think they might do kind of the Doctor Doom Iron Man thing.
I think it's called the infamous Iron Man or something storyline where he
I
does
don't know.
become Doom.
I was out of comics at that time. But
Yeah,
he might be a variant of Tony Stark. I don't want that though. I want Victor Von Doom. I want Victor Von Doom, and I want the first family, and I want them done right.
Yeah, I agree.
Freaking once.
Yeah, before we
Only
die.
have 4 tries. Yes, 4 people. There are 4.
Yeah, we know. And 2 of them suck beyond belief. Okay. 1 is campy, 2 are okay, and 1 sucks beyond belief. So.
Did
Oh,
anyone
yeah.
forget the 1994 unreleased Doctor Doom?
Oh,
I thought
that's the
that
one
was
I'm mentioning. That's the one I'm
I thought that
mentioning.
was
That's the
almost
one that's
accurate.
campy. Yeah, the one that's campy beyond belief. Yeah. So.
Yeah, but if Doctor Doom is not in that if they do it like the prior ones,
Mm-hmm.
no. He's supposed to be behind the mask.
Yes.
He's supposed to be part freaking Tony Stark, part Doctor Strange.
Yes. He is an occultist, and he is also a scientist, a technologist, more specifically. So, but yeah, well, like as we
But
as I
if they
often say,
don't bring his intelligence in, it's a
oh,
disaster.
yeah, definitely. So, but well, guys, thank you all for being here tonight. I want to thank everybody in the chat. I know that my friend Ace Mowick, who I recently just did another episode 3 of the Tarantino podcast that is currently up on the channel. We did our review of Jackie Brown. Go check that out. Obviously, we've also done a couple other reviews for that podcast, being, of course, Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction. Go check those out.
Oh,
Um,
Tarantino movies.
yeah,
Yeah,
I'm doing the whole run from Reservoir Dogs to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Nice.
hey,
So,
I just gotta say this. When you said Jackie Brown, I always get this line stuck in my head. AK-47.
when you
Most
absolutely positively have to kill every mother effer in the room except no
except no
substitute.
substitution. I love that line. That is actually my favorite Tarantino movie. Pulp
Mhm.
Fiction is actually a little bit later. It is just one below.
So, in terms of what's coming up for the channel in August, we will be, of course, continuing the Tarantino podcast, be doing a review of Kill Bill Volumes 1 and 2. Going to be doing a couple of watch-alongs, one for the upcoming sequel to Beetlejuice, and we'll be doing, of course, Beetlejuice. So, and also going to be doing another watch-along. Going to do 2 this month. Going to do 2 in August. This one's going to be just for funsies. We're going to do a watch along, 90s night watch along for the movie that started the series, the TV series, Buffy the Vampire Slayer with Miss Christy Swanson. So, but y'all have a great night. Hope you all enjoyed yourselves. Hope you enjoyed the stream. As always, make sure you smash the like button, share this out with all of your friends. Comment down below with anything me and the fellas mentioned or we may have missed. Again, to the chat, everybody that was here tonight, Bartang, I have not seen you before, but I appreciate you being here tonight. I hope you enjoyed yourself as well. Thank you for all of your comments and for all of your insight. It is greatly appreciated. So, but you all have a great night. We will see you all next time. And until next time, these are the ambassadors. Signing off.